Hello, viewers. Welcome to another exciting episode of our What's Your Career video series brought to you by Link Your Purpose. I am Tony Ann Hudson, your host for today. And with me, I have Miss Shannique Perry from the Planning Institute of Jamaica under the career of Development Analyst. Hi, Shanique.
Hi, Tony. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to have you as well. Shanique,
Thank
so
you.
for us to start, could you please just give us a little detail about what exactly it is to be in the field of development analyst or to be a development analyst? What do you do?
Okay, Tony. So, as you previously said, I'm a development analyst at the Planning Institute of Jamaica. So, to provide context, I love providing context because for me, I learn best with background information. When you think about development, many things come to mind, right? Whether it be urban and rural development and design, construction, retrofitting buildings, etc. But development within this sense speaks to advancement of a country, a population, a group, etc. So, as a development analyst at the Planning Institute of Jamaica, I basically track progress of our National Development Plan Vision 2030 Jamaica. I track on the achievement of the plan based on the indicators we have achieved, what we're lagging behind, what we need to improve on, special groups we need to focus on, such as persons with disabilities, children, youth, the elderly. It also speaks to monitoring and evaluation.
Okay, and that does sound like a huge job. Kudos to you.
Thanks, it is. So I always tell persons development is complex because you're considering every aspect of society. So you're catering to the elderly, the poor, the rich, uneducated, educating. There's a lot of considerations. Development isn't a vacuum. You don't think about just one person or one group. It's a balance. So you always hear persons talk about the three spheres of development. You're talking about the social, the economic, the environment, the governance framework. It all has to be one. So it's very complex. It's a very heavy task, and I feel like sometimes persons, because development is can be slow, and when you think about development, you expect to see results like that. It takes time. So I feel like some persons, you don't really appreciate the effort that goes into development planning and analysis.
Okay.
Analysis rather. Sorry.
All right, that's fine. I'm odd. I'm odd. It sounds like a lot. So I must admire your courage. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, could you tell us what are some qualities I would need if I'm interested in becoming a development analyst? What kind of characteristics or qualities do I need to have to do well at this job?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer your question based on characteristics as it relates to skill sets. Would that be okay?
Yes.
So we're heavy on the critical thinking here, right? We're heavy on that skill. But you know that a lot of persons fall short of that. But that's very important to be able to critically think and analyze, because you can have data presented to you, but you need to be able to understand and to explain what does that data mean and how it translates to the regular man, or how it affects whatever group or topic you're studying. So critical thinking skills, analytic skills. Also, something that's important right now within the field is data analytics, right?
Mhm.
Being able to prevent data in a way that persons understand. As I said
Yes.
before, monitoring and evaluation. You basically monitoring programs or strategies to see how well whatever you set out to achieve is being achieved. When you do that, you're able to say, all right, so I wanted to ensure that 100 students learn math this year, but only 73 learned. Why was that? Why did that happen?
There's a
You
problem.
begin to question so that you can improve on the model and, get to achieve the desired outcome. So I would
Absolutely.
list those four key skills. Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound exciting. But walk us through your journey a little bit. If I want to become a development analyst, what did you do, or what do I need to do? Where can I study?
Okay, so I've always been a very intuitive person. I've always went along with what I was good at and what I was passionate about. In high school, I was always good slash passionate about the subjects history, social studies, sociology, and well, I had to do sciences because of my parents, but I really didn't care about that. I was a social girl. I
Okay.
want to know how things work, why they work like that, how they affect society, etc., etc. Anyways, no. So after high school, I went forward to sixth form, completed my CAPE subjects. I did sociology, history, biology, and the other compulsory subjects. I can't recall their names.
Mhm.
And then UE came. So my process towards university was kind of a complex one. I applied to schools locally and internationally because I was seeking scholarships. I got into UE. I applied for law, law and political science. Got through for both of them, but I chose political science because I only chose law because my mother told me to. Right? So I wasn't passionate about it. And again, I'm guided by what I love and what I'm passionate about because I realize I excel in those things,
As
right?
it should
And
be.
when I'm
Yes.
able to give 100%, the results are usually good.
That's right. Yeah.
So I started off with political science at UA. After year one, I was like, nah, this is not for me. So then I applied, well, no, I switched majors to social policy and development.
Okay.
So that's a degree offered within the Faculty of Social Sciences at the University of the West Indies. That was the most enlightening year at university for me because I was finally doing something I was passionate about. And I always knew what I wanted to do. I always wanted to work in development. I always wanted to work at PIOJ. And at my dorm on campus, I used to have a post-it with all the things I wanted to accomplish. And on that list was to be a development analyst, to work at the Planning Institute of Jamaica, and eventually matriculate to the United Nations. And I was able to achieve that because of one, the path that I chose. So I chose a degree that catered to advancing me towards the desired career path, which was social policy and development, which compassed okay. So with that degree, you learn about public policy, private policy, social welfare, sociology, of course, the importance of planning for the future, planning for a population dynamics, the whole notion of inclusion and exclusion, the need to include everyone, the need to consider persons with disabilities in national development planning, the need to consider the poor, the fact that we have an aging population, and the list goes on. So, with that degree, I was able to kind of gain basic and important and necessary knowledge to kind of put me ahead in terms of where I wanted to be within the career path. After my first degree, I started working at the PIOJ as an intern, after which I got a job as a program assistant for Vision 2030 Jamaica. As you know, and I'm going to say it, Vision 2030 Jamaica is Jamaica's first long-term national development plan. We all want developed country status. And obviously, developed country, it doesn't mean it's going to look like United States or United Kingdom, but development that caters to Jamaicans, development that focuses on our cultural assets, sports, etc. Anyways, so I got the job at PIOJ.
But
And
just before you get the job, Shani, how long
mhm.
exactly did you have to study at UWI?
Okay, so at UE, I studied for 3.5 years. It's usually 3 years, but because I started doing a program before social policy and development, I
Okay.
had to do an extra semester. So that was 3 years.
Okay. Okay. And during that time, or do you even know of any scholarship opportunities within that area that somebody who wants to pursue the same career could
Mhm.
look into?
Okay, so I know you have international scholarships to Japan, China, and some Swedish countries. They're accessible on the OES website, I believe, United Nations websites. Um, Persons can access information there. I know the social policy and development is heavily subsidized by the government of Jamaica, by the way, and other CARICOM countries. So for tuition, I think my tuition was about 250 a year. That was a subsidized cost, I believe. The subsidized cost, I believe.
Okay.
Um, so it's heavily subsidized. So you won't pay 100%. But at the time, I utilized financial assistance from the student loan to kind of fund my education. So that's an option as well.
Okay. Yes. All right. So yes, you got the job, and go ahead.
Yes, I get the job and I get little experience and I'm going and I love it and I'm like, yes, this is where I want to be. Until then I went into a meeting and I realized how clueless I was. Because you're at the table with experienced personnel. So I'm coming with my little basic underground knowledge, not realizing that I need to up my skills. I need to learn more. I need to prepare better so I can contribute more to the dialogue and the discussions. So I said, all right, master's time. I went to the UE route and I applied for a program called International Public and Development Management. No, like the first degree, this one was heavily subsidized by the government of Jamaica and other CARICOM countries. So I end up paying probably, I was going part time for a while, so it was about 170,000 per year. And full time, I think it was 230,000 per year. So it was around that costing level. That degree took 1.5 years. 2 semesters were spent taught, meaning I went into classrooms and I did 10 courses. You did the exams. And the last semester, which would be the third semester, it's a research paper. This is where you undertake research um, to get the degree. So the topic I chose to do was Jamaica advancing the silver economy. So I'm not sure how well you guys are affair with the development landscape now. You have the blue economy, the green economy, the purple and orange economy, and you have the silver economy. So I thought this was important context again because Jamaica has an aging population. That's very important. That impacts everything. So by 2030, majority of the population will be over 50. You know what that means? No working population.
That what that means? I might be over 50.
That's a good one. But
But all right. So just to bring it back though, for the high
mhm,
schoolers who are just exiting perhaps grade 11 or sixth form,
mhm.
and they're wondering, okay, how do I move forward? What next? Can you? And I know you mentioned it a little, but could you just go back and tell us the subjects that we need to be good at, or the subjects we need to pay more attention to in class to be able to enter this career field?
Okay, so key subjects would be sociology, history. Um, those would be the key subjects. I think dabbling in the sciences is it's a good thing because your knowledge base expands. So you don't think within a vacuum. You're able to, utilize different knowledge base or information. But the key subjects for the degree, social policy and development, they're sociology and history at the CAPE level.
Okay.
At CXC, you could do social studies, history, POB, um, I don't remember. I feel old. Uh, English literature is a good one.
Okay.
English literature is good because for me, that's where a lot of my critical thinking came from.
Mhm.
But I think that's a subject that most persons should do.
Okay. And I know it's a big job. We cannot deny that.
Mhm.
So I have to ask. what benefits can you associate with this job? I'm taking up such a
Um,
big responsibility. What are the benefits? What's in it for me?
um, hmm. I would say you interact with a lot of influential persons in society. Mostly politicians, key senior technocrats, key CEOs of various NGOs or presidents of international development partners, persons of that stature. And what does that create? Networking. If someone notices your work, notices how well you are at your work, and what if tomorrow I decide, say, okay, I want to move from where I am and gain more experience in another organization. And because I've had such a good working relationship with probably and hypothetically the president of UNESCO, for example, they would be aware of the key skills I have, my competencies, etc. And you create that link right there.
Okay. And
So
and
I would say networking one.
okay.
You're moving with a lot of room shakers and big people, if we want to call it like that.
Yes.
Um, you're able to learn a lot. I'm always down for learning. Your knowledge will keep increasing. Um, the pay isn't bad,
The
so
pay
that's
is
a
bad.
plus. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's one of the better the better career paths out there. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's
Okay.
not great, but it's not bad.
I mean, there's
Okay.
always space for improvement. We
Yeah.
know. We know.
Yeah.
All right, but all right. So it's a great job. Well,
Yeah.
we assume that not every day is all perfect. So with
Um,
that being said, like what's the worst part about being a development analyst for you? Or
for me,
yeah.
okay, I'm more of a background worker. I'll write the reports, I'll do all the documents, but I hate engaging with persons. I
Oh,
hate presentations. I get very nervous. I hate the forefront. So
mm,
for me, that's the worst part. Also, with development, you're engaging a lot of stakeholders. So that means different personalities. You have to try and appease everyone. And that for me has been a challenge. It's been something that I'm working on. But that's the part that I really is I'm not a fan of that.
so but then all right. So that's your challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So for me then, because I love to talk and I don't mind presenting and I don't mind being in the forefront, what other challenges do you see me coming across? To say, you know what? The thing about being a development analyst is that it's a lot of work. I don't know what
I
other
mean,
challenge.
other than the workload,
Mhm.
it would be again the stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
So okay, so you have this thing called collaborative and partnership for development, right? What this means is you have to ensure that all groups, or whatever you're pursuing, whether it be a policy paper or a report, they're at the table. You have to ensure that all contribute effectively and efficiently, and you have to ensure that all is represented.
Okay.
That's a lot of back and forth. That's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a
Hmm.
lot of processes. So it's a longer time versus, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and it will take an hour. But constantly consulting with other persons, it kind of drags out the process. So I'm gonna say you'll have to learn to be patient with the process,
Mm.
and yeah, just think about the end goal.
Okay. So question. We've spoken about the good stuff and the indifferent. On a
Mhm.
scale of 1 to 10, though, because we're curious, like with 10 being the highest, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How likely are you to recommend this job to somebody who's watching now, a high schooler who's watching now? How likely are you to recommend being a development analyst?
For persons naturally interested in development, whether it be development planning or even if you're interested in representing a particular group and seeing their advancement, I would say a 10. If you're not going to like it, and this based on what I've expressed, if it's something that going to annoy you or you not really feel it, then it would be a 3. It will be a constant burden every day. So
Okay,
again, I'm big on go with what you're passionate about, go with what you like and what you're good at.
okay. And
But I'll say a 10.
we love a 10. Are there any books though that I could read that could maybe make me an even stronger development analyst, or just enrich my knowledge and help me to blossom?
Always. Okay. Um, I would suggest you live on the United Nations and the World Bank's website. They have articles every month about new development fads or new key development indicators, stuff like that, things that are happening within the field. So at that point, you can always stay abreast in terms of what's happening, current information. In terms of theory, theory sorry, in terms of theory, I would suggest reading sociological geniuses like Durkheim or Max Weber, persons like that. It's a bit boring and it's long and tedious, but it kind of helps to form that fundamental framework or that fundamental knowledge base for which you will use within the field. So I would say sociology, so key sociology books. History is very important because history provides context. And when you're dealing with development, you need context, you need cultural background because you have to consider those things. Um, yeah.
And this is a question that's not necessarily a part of our list, but it struck me, and I need to ask you, how exactly did you get to choose the career that you chose? I know you said you have a passion, but for example, when you were at university, how did you discover that degree? Because I do feel like it's one of those, it's not so common ones where you
Mhm.
don't hear about every day. So how did you really get to that?
Okay, so I like to read. And I was going through a journey of self discovery because I didn't feel fulfilled. So I kept looking at the social sciences tab on the University of the West Indies website. And I saw social and I saw development. And I'm like, these are two things I'm interested in. So I did my research. So I started to read up on it. I started to read up on papers written by the University of Oxford, London University, etc. And I'm like, this is a good field, man. This is a lucrative field. And then I started to look at, the key outputs for which this degree processes or promotes. And I'm like, okay, I'd want to learn that. I want to learn this. Yeah. So basically, I did my own research. I kept reading and I just found things that I think would one challenge me and at the same time would appeal to my passion and my career objective.
Okay, understood. Okay, so just to wrap things up now, because we're coming to an end, our final question. If there is anything that you could say to a high schooler who's watching now, or somebody who's at the brink of starting a new career, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to them? What would you say? What could you say to me that would make me change my field and enter into yours?
Honestly, I can't, it's kind of hard for me to answer that because I think the message should be not to change what you're doing and come into my field, but a development analyst, you are contributing to development planning, development planning efforts, national, local, and international development. You are creating a future for those that aren't even conceived as yet. To me,
Yeah.
that's a big job. It's important. So I think if you want a more active say based on evidence, obviously key research and your skills, then I would say this is a career that you probably should consider. If you're passionate about injustices in certain areas, inequities, sorry, inclusion, then this is something that you should consider.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shanique. That was a mouthful, but it's always good to learn about careers we don't hear about on a regular. So thank you so much. We are indeed so happy to have had you for this episode.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope this may enlighten someone's darkness.
All right. Thank you so much. And that is the end of another exciting episode. I bet you learned something new today. Remember to follow us at Link Your Purpose on all social platforms and also visit our website at linkyourpurpose.com if you have any more questions. Thank you so much for tuning in and do watch our next episode that's coming in shortly. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye bye.